What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden, and today we are doing the seemingly impossible. We are going to be ranking every single BMW M car from worst to best. And this is a long list because there is 27 different BMW M cars, and we are going to be ranking every single one of them. I do want to say before we even start, just to not make people angry, this is my personal opinion, and personally I believe that BMWs are starting to be better and better as time goes on. I know that that's hard to say. A lot of people say that they love classic cars, and I love my fair share of classic cars too, but new BMWs are just absolutely beautiful, absolutely amazing cars. So for the most part, I do like the newer generation BMWs better, and this is 110% not based on either facts, nostalgia, what they did for the M line. It's literally just my opinion on which ones I like, which ones I would own, you know what I mean? But anyway, guys, let's get right into the video. All right, so coming in at 27 or dead last is the M535i E12. It is quite literally just a box on wheels, and I really don't think there's anything really special about it. If you want to go really deep down into it, this is like the first ever BMW M car that was like a sedan at first, but it wasn't even that. It was just like at the time it was a performance car. It wasn't super affordable. There's nothing really too special about it, and its looks are really not there for me. It's very slow. I'm sure if you're a BMW enthusiast, this car means a lot to you, but to me, it doesn't. I don't like it. Coming in at number 26 is the X5 M E70 and the X6 M E71, which honestly are pretty much the same. Yes, I know they come with different motors and they make different horsepower and they're massively different, Mark, but they are two SUVs of the same generation. They look almost exactly the same. Yes, they come with different motors, but I don't even care because, to be honest with you, I would never buy one. I don't like SUVs in general, and if I'm going to buy an SUV, I wouldn't pay insane amounts of money to buy a super fast one. I would probably just buy a freaking Toyota Highlander, and so these don't really do it for me. I don't really care. Number 25 is the M5 E28, which is actually the next generation after the E12 M5, and it definitely looks a little bit better. They also dropped the rest of the numbers and the I, which I like. This is the first car to actually have the M5 part of the name, and it's cool. I mean, it ain't bad. I'm not going to complain about it, but it just, once again, the looks aren't all there for me. It just kind of looks a little bit boring. I will say I do like how the hood kind of covers up the headlights. I always like that on cars, and it looks really cool. But besides that, I don't really like it. It's not fast either, obviously, but for its time it was. But I don't know. They're just not my favorite. They look kind of boring. They're really small, really slow. Nothing really special about them. All right, coming in at 24 is the X3 M Comp G01 and the X4 M Comp G02, which are once again more BMW SUVs. Same thing I said for the old X5 and the X6 applies for the X3 and the X4, except I do like these ones a little bit better looks-wise, but also they're a little bit newer, and if I'm going to buy an SUV, I'm probably going to buy a newer one. 23rd is the M5 E34. This is going to be a big debate here. I know that there are a lot of E34 fans out there, but to me, they just look like really, really boring sedans. They honestly don't have any sort of sporty attributes to them whatsoever, in my opinion. And I always think that BMW is supposed to kind of look a little bit sporty. They're super saloons. They're not just saloons. And this one just looked like a saloon. Yes, it was like a cool upgrade from the E28 to the E34. It does look a little bit better. It's a little bit faster, obviously, but nothing else really besides that. 22nd is the M5 E60. As you can tell, I don't care for the M5s. The M5s are just kind of boring to me. They're really large too, and I don't like that. I don't really like big vehicles. I kind of like them to be a little bit smaller. And once again, I'm going to say it again, it looks like a normal car, just a tad bit sportier. Yes, the E60 makes freaking 500 horsepower in a V10. That's cool. But I just don't see myself buying one. I need to like the looks of a car in order to buy it, and this looks way too just I don't even know. It looks like it's about to go get its nails done. 21st is the Z4 M Coupe E86. These are the Z4s, but coupe version, and so they look a little bit like a shoe car, but not as bad as the Z3s. And they're underrated, all right? I'm going to put it out there right now. If you like Miatas, then you would love these Z cars, in my personal opinion. I like it. I don't really mind it at all. Would I buy it? Probably not. If I'm going to buy a Z car, I'm probably going to buy the convertible one because I really don't like the coupe versions. And the Z4 is a little bit worse, in my opinion, than the Z3. But it's cool, and it's something different from BMW, and besides just a sedan, and I like that. 20th is the car that started it all, the M1 E26. This is the first ever M car besides their Motorsports M car that they had before this, but we're not going to talk about that one. This is the first road legal M car, the M1 E26. It looks like a supercar still to this day. That's really cool, but to me, I hate the looks of it. I know. Cancel Mark Roden. He's not a real car guy. I'm sorry. I don't like the looks of the BMW M1 unless it's modified. I've seen some people modify these things and they actually do look okay when modified, but normally I don't like the looks of them, and they're probably extremely uncomfortable, terrible on gas, unreliable as all hell, but they did start it all, and we have to give it credit for that. 19th is the M5 F10. Yes, another M5. This one way more modern. This one was built in like what, the 2010s, I think. And it actually is probably like the sportiest looking M5. I'm going to be honest, but it's not my favorite, obviously. It is really cool, and it's probably incredibly fast. I'm not exactly sure on the amount of horsepower this car has, but I would assume more than the previous generation, which was the E60, and that's awesome. It's a super saloon. It's probably really heavy, and once again, I'm not a big fan of big cars, and it's a little bit on the bigger side. It's just not my cup of tea, man. The M5s are too like round or like bubbly. All right, number 18th is the Z4 M Coupe E36/8. I like these, man. Okay, yes, the coupe version does look like a clown shoe, and I would rather have the convertible version, but I like them. I think the Z3 is one of the most underrated drift cars out there right now. You can buy a Z3 for like $5,000, and they're really, really good. Once again, BMW kind of stepped out of their comfort zone with these cars, and I love that about them. They're interesting cars, and I like them, and I ain't gonna change my mind on that. 17th is the M3 E36. Yes, the E36 M3 is my least favorite M3 model car that they made so far. I do love them, don't get me wrong, but I love almost every BMW, so that's not a surprise. They just don't bone stock. These E36s are not cool cars in my opinion. Okay, you have to modify an E36 to make it look cool, but they can look awesome and they can be really fun, and they're extremely cool for their time. It was also the second M3 car, which is really cool too, and I love them for what they did. I love them because they're an E36, and you just have to love E36s. But they're not my favorite, man, all right? They just kind of look a little boring to me. 16th is the 1M E87. This is that little tiny compact little car that looks aggressive as all hell, and it's awesome. It is so cool. I don't think I'd ever buy one, but I do love them. Like, I love looking at them. They're also really fast. They're like a compact M3, which is crazy because M3s are already kind of compact. And yeah, I like them, man. They're sick. They look aggressive. They're better than just like 135i's. I like them. 15th is the M5 E39. Yes, the E39 beats the F10 and E60 in my opinion. I love the looks of these freaking E39s so much. Sorry about my dogs barking. People don't know how to control them up there. But I love the looks of them so much. They're the M5 that looks the most like an M3, which is I think the reason why I like them so much. But they work so well. They look really good. They're powerful for their time, and they're awesome cars. 14th is the M635csi E24, the shark nose or slant nose or whatever they call these things. They are awesome, man. If you've never seen these cars, look into them. They are so cool. They're really long and like really large, especially for their time. They're probably like boats in their time. But they work. They pull it off, okay? They pull off that huge look to them. Slamming these cars on the ground makes them look incredible. They aren't probably the most reliable. They were pretty powerful at their time, but they're not the most reliable. They're not like the best to daily drive or anything like that, but they're a piece of history in my opinion, and I love the looks of them. They look so good. 13th, my favorite M5 model car to come out is actually the newest generation M5. The M5 F90 looks really, really cool, really modern. It has all these modern attributes to it. It's obviously probably the fastest M5. I'm not 100% sure on that, though. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, why wouldn't it be? It's also, though, one of like the biggest M5s ever come out, which kind of sucks. Like I said, I don't really like huge cars, but this one, I mean, it kind of pulls it off. It kind of works. It looks good. It's cool. It's really cool, probably, if you like going fast. I'll put that out there. I like going fast, but not as much as I like looking cool. So that's probably why it's not that much higher, but it's probably one of the faster cars on this list. 12th place is the M3 Comp G80, the newest generation M car ever, besides the M4 Comp G80. G82, I think they call it. But anyway, the G80 is really cool from the back. Ugly as all hell from the front. I cannot get over the front. If the front was better, this car would be so much higher because the back looks so sick. It's so aggressive, so sleek. I love the colors they went with. And then the front grille, I'm just like, I don't like this car anymore. And I obviously still love the car's 12th place, but it's the front. I just wish they did something about that grille. 11th is the M6 E63, my bad. And these cars are cool. I mean, that's all I can really say. The whole M6 line has always been like incredibly long and incredibly low and slung and sleek, which makes it almost kind of look like a supercar. And it works so well. I mean, these things, you don't even have to modify them a lot. Literally just like add side skirts, maybe a front splitter, a rear canard, diffuser, I mean, and like tint it and black out the car, and you have like a mafia car, and it's awesome. So I love them, but it isn't my favorite M6, obviously, but it is a really sick M6. 10th, however, is my favorite M6. It's the M6 F13. It's a generation after the E63. There's not much of a difference between the two in terms of looks-wise, in my opinion. Performance-wise, I'm sure there's probably a big difference, but looks-wise, there really isn't. And so I can't really put it too much higher. Honestly, they're kind of interchangeable for me. If you gave me an E63, I'd be happy. If you gave me an F13, I'd be a tiny bit happier. 9th is the M3 E92. These cars can either be so cool or just boring as all hell, okay? I'm going to be honest. Because the reason why is everybody has E92 335i's nowadays, and they modify those all the time, so I see them all the time. And so when I do see an M3, it's kind of a little underwhelming unless they're modified. And that kind of sucks for the E92. It doesn't really deserve that, so that's why I kind of tried to forget about it. And on paper, and just like looking at it just stock how it is, they're awesome cars. They're really cool. They're also really good like track weapons. These things handle like dreams. And they're one of my favorite M3 models for sure, but definitely not my favorite. 8th is the M3 E46. This car is sick. It is like the most like traffic looking M car out there, in my opinion, at least modern M car out there. It looks very like traffic, but then if you're a car guy, you look at it and you're just like, that thing is sick. Like you can notice the wider flares, you notice that little lip on the back, you notice those little vents and the more aggressive styling to it. But to a normal person, you don't really notice that, and I love that about it. That's kind of how all BMWs are, but still, I love that about the E46. They're so cool. You literally put like some BBS on it, lower it, and you got yourself a beautiful car. 7th is the 850 CSI E31, arguably the most underrated M car to ever come out, in my opinion. This car was insane, especially for its time. The power was amazing. It had pop-up headlights, which is really cool. The only other M car I can think of that had pop-up headlights was the M1. It was awesome. This car is so sick. It looks like JDM in the back almost, and then like supercar in the front. It had so much power, and no one modifies them. No one. Obviously it's because they're really expensive and rare, but still, these cars are sick. I wish more people would modify these things. 6th place is the M4 Comp G82, which is the newest M car to ever come out, and it massively beats the M3 Comp of this generation, in my opinion. I think the coupe body style with the front end works a lot better than on the sedan. A lot better. I still don't like the front end. I still wish they changed up that front end, but this thing, I can't lie, it looks awesome. If it had a better grille, this would arguably could be in the top 3, maybe even my favorite. But the fact that front bumper just really ruins it for me, I'm gonna be honest. Okay, that's it. Like, I'm sorry, but that whole front fascia on the new M cars, I just don't really care for them. My apologies. Okay, go ahead, hate me in the comments, but it's just not my favorite. 5th place is the M2 F87. This car, in my opinion, did what the 1M was trying to do, and did it just 10 times better. They made a pocket-sized little M series car, and this one looks so much cooler, and it handles so much better. It's so much faster. It is awesome. It is a little bit more expensive, obviously, but it is awesome. These cars are so cool. They are literally pocket M3s, which M3 is already a pocket car, and that's just awesome to say. Like, awesome to say. They're very wide. If you ever see them in person, they are so extraordinarily like wide fenders and everything. I love the M2. 4th place is the M4 F82. I mean, come on. I feel like we all know that this car is legendary. It is awesome. There's so much aftermarket support for this car too, which is really cool. People modify these a lot, and it's awesome. I mean, the first time I saw that gold M4 F82 in like a video, I fell in love with it. It's very long. Once again, it's a longer car, but they pull it off really, really well. It's sick. It is beautiful. I'd love to own one. Third place is the M8 Competition F92. It is the only 8 Series M car ever to come out, and they blew it out of the park. This car has over 600 horsepower. It is I think it's like over 650 horsepower, if I'm honest, but it is incredibly fast. It's literally a supercar in BMW form. It's very long, but it's also extremely low to the ground and tiny, so it's quite literally just a supercar. But with a BMW. It is the BMW's GTR, it is BMW's Corvette, and the thing is freaking beautiful. I love them. Second place is the M3 E30. I'm sure you guys were wondering where this car was the whole time, and here it is. It is second place. Yes, I know it's kind of basic to love the E30 so much, but I do. Not only for the looks alone are perfect though. They're classic and also look incredibly like wide and modern and race car-y, and it's awesome. But the thing is, this M3 E30 started possibly the most famous M series line, which is the 3 Series. The 3 Series BMW is definitely the most popular one, and the M3 E30 started that. It was incredible for BMW to build this car. Before that, the M cars were cool and people wanted them, but they weren't like something that a household name. The M3 E30, we all need to thank the E30, and it is freaking awesome, man. How can you not like it? It's an E30. But first place, this is going to be a little bit underwhelming for a lot of you. It's the M3 F80. Yeah, I don't know why, all right? It's a very average car compared to the rest of these. It's cool. I mean, I'm sure you guys are going to be like, yeah, it's cool. But to me, it is my favorite. I love the F80 M3. It's one of my dream cars. I wish I could own one day. They look so sick to me, okay? Like, they just look awesome. They got the front end perfect. They got the back end perfect. How wide it is, perfect. The interior, perfect. Everything about this car is just perfect. I love it. The colors the car came in is perfect. I love the F80. Is it the fastest on this list? Not at all. Is it worth your money compared to some of these other cars? No, not at all. Is it reliable? No, not at all. But it's awesome, and I love it for that. But you guys, that is the end of this very, very long video. I hope you enjoyed. This was a blast to make. I love BMW. BMW is my second favorite car brand ever made. And so I felt like I had to do this because there's so many M cars, and I wanted to test myself to see where I would put them all. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to check out the link in the top of the description to check out the new channel. That's Vidania. Have a nice night.